all for being truthful about why I want to move in with my dad. My mom and stepdad are foster parents, but living with foster kids is kind of awful. Nothing against them, and I really hope they're getting the help they need, but it sucks. I was forced into the tiny room, which is fine, but I also can't leave my room. I can't play music or video games. I always have to let them pick movies and TV shows. I feel like a prisoner in my own home, and I can speak up about it because then I'm being ungrateful. I know it's nowhere near what most kids experience, but I still hate it. For months, I've been begging my dad to let me move in with him. I spend all my time there, and it would just make more sense. Logically, I know I'll never be able to. He's working 70 hours a week living in a one-bedroom apartment, but it's fun to pretend. My mom and stepdad don't seem to understand where I'm coming from. I should be grateful. I have clean clothes on my back and food in my stomach. Whenever I try to explain, they never listen and point out how much better I have it. Anyway, I was talking to my cousin on Monday and mentioned staying with my dad this weekend. She asked why, and I explained that I just don't like being at home. She asked why, and if that's why I want to move in with my dad, and I said yes and explained how I felt. She eventually went home and told her mom, I guess. Yesterday, my aunt pulled up and basically demanded to know what was going on. I don't know what exactly happened, but they got into an argument and my cousin came up to help me pack some clothes for a few days. When we went down, my parents accused me of making things up, saying that I had no need to feel the way I do. My aunt didn't really give me a chance to reply before we left. I went home today to grab some stuff, and they called me selfish, saying I created an aggressive atmosphere which wasn't good for the foster kids. So I said, I don't care about the foster kids right now. Why do they matter more than me? My stepdad told me to get out, so I did. A whole bunch of family has blocked me in socials, and my foster sister has been posting about how I'm selfish and only care about my own feelings. My dad is now clued in, and he and my aunt are both saying that I'm not in the wrong for feeling the way I do. But no one else seems to agree. So am I the a-hole? Edit. A few people have mentioned some things I should add. I'm 14, and my mom and stepdad are currently fostering 2 sibling sets. One set of 3 girls and another set of 2 girls and 4 boys. Totally 9 foster kids. And 3 of the kids are diagnosed with autism, as some people have asked about that. No, they don't make any profit. They do love their kids and fully intend on adopting them all. They're amazing parents. Just not to me. And no, I will not be calling their social worker or whatever. I'm not doing that to my foster siblings. I'm hoping to convince my mom that me moving out will be better because it creates more room for any emergency fosters or something. Now for the top comments. Not a-hole. They shouldn't be fostering if it's at the expense of another child. And regardless, you're entitled to your feelings. I understand that they're helping, but it kinda sucks. My brother and sister-in-law have fostered 4 kids at different times. They already have 4 kids. They had to adapt, obviously, but they understood that their children were their children, that their voices were always heard, babysitting, hanging out with, etc. And it's been a very constructive atmosphere, because they also made a time to be with their own children individually at different times, so that they don't feel like a spare or something like that. Your feelings are completely valid, and your mom and stepdad are a-holes for dismissing your emotions and thoughts so openly. Do whatever you need to do to be healthy, Opie. Not a-hole. Your feelings are valid, and they don't stop being valid just because other people might have it worse. That is a really unhealthy mindset. You deserve to feel safe, happy, and comfortable at home. If you don't experience that living at your mother's house, there's no shame in trying other living arrangements. Sometimes just have to do what's right for you. I'm kinda stuck here, but thank you. Please call the social services agency that placed the fosters with your mom and stepdad and tell them all of this. They're essentially making you a prisoner in your own home, not allowing you to do standard teenage activities, not listening to your needs or wants, and disregarding your feelings. Not a a-hole. Have you ever had the opportunity to speak to the social worker that connects with your parents? Because you should have been interviewed about your comfort level with this. You need to contact a DHS and tell them that your parents are doing foster care, and your stepdad told you to get out because you complained to your cousin about feeling uncomfortable in your own home. This is a huge red flag. Edit. Opie mentions in an edit that his mother and stepfather currently have 9 foster children in their home. That is unusual, as most states limit the maximum number of minor children in the home to 6. And given that several of those children are special needs, it is definitely a red flag. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for bringing my daughter to a water park with a friend instead of her stepsister, my ex's stepdaughter? I took my daughter 12 to a water park with her best friend last weekend. I'd planned ahead with the parents and we stayed a couple of nights. This was our first time going anywhere in 3 years, and it was the first time she got to take someone with us. But given the way things have been in the last year and how good she did at keeping up in school, I wanted to reward her. The trip came up while my daughter was with me. She goes to her dad every other week. He's married and has a stepdaughter the same age as my daughter and 2 stepsons who are 6. My daughter and her stepsister aren't close, and it bothers the hell out of my ex. He has tried to sue for more time just so they are forced to be around each other more. And my ex is always asking for more time with our daughter so she can bond better with her stepmom and step-siblings. I always say no because I never take his time with her from him or her, so he doesn't get to do it to us either. He has always asked where I can include his step-kids, and I'll be honest, I don't. For 2 reasons. I normally don't bring other kids, and because my daughter has always asked not to be forced to bring them. Her dad has brought it up around her. She said her dad suffocates her with them, and she's tired of him always trying to make them close when they just don't feel it. So when he found out her friend came with us to the water park, he was furious. What made it worse was his stepdaughter was in the car when we were doing the exchange, and she saw my daughter's friend's t-shirt that she bought there and realized where we'd gone. Apparently, she has dreamed of going for years, but never got to. Ex told me I should have made her take stepsister over a friend, and his wife called and told me I didn't need to flaunt it in front of her daughter. I said I never flaunted it, but I wasn't going to make my daughter's friend hide either. They gave my daughter hell for it while she was at her dad's. It makes me question if I'm the a-hole for not including her stepsister in this. You're definitely not the a-hole. Your ex is. It's so weird that he expects you to treat his new wife's child as family. You should encourage a friendship, yes, and be kind to her. But you owe them nothing. It's his responsibility, not yours. Especially when you're footing the bill. And it's more fun for your daughter to get to take a friend too. It is also really important to point out that even blood siblings shouldn't be forced to go to every event and share everything all the time. It breeds resentment, and there's literally no benefit to anyone when parents do it. You will find Reddit riddled with posts about siblings and step-siblings being forced to do everything together, and it breaks my heart. Not the a-hole. If the father wants the 2 girls to go to a water park together, then he and his wife can take them. And bullying your daughter over it is appalling. If nothing else, it will ensure that the 2 girls never become friends. Worse, it will probably ruin any relationship she might hope to have with her father in the future. It sounds like they want to go so that they can pressure them into spending more time together. They didn't want to go to the water park. They wanted another opportunity for them to bond. Want to add, the parents might even want to dump the kids in Opie while they go on all the slides in Lazy River so they can get a break from the kids. Absolutely not, a-hole. He's alienating his own daughter for his step-kids. Guess who's gonna pick mom when she's old enough? Bingo. That is setting the stage for low contact or no contact in the future. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister her kids and step-kids aren't really mad at each other but mad at her and her husband? My sister has 2 kids. Her son is 11 and her daughter is 9. She has 3 step-kids. Her stepson is 10, stepdaughters are 9 and 7. They got married 3 years ago, and honestly, my sister and her husband messed it up pretty badly. They were long-distance dating for 4 years and lived 2,500 miles from each other. So they decided to wait for any big moves until they were getting married. 1 month before the day came, he moved in with my sister and her kids. None of the kids had met each other or their future step-parent. The day they moved in happened, it became very clear that the kids were not once super excited to go through the change and super happy for more people, regardless of how much their parents wanted it for them. My nephew and niece have told me they resent the hell out of my sister and her husband for what they did. My nephew told me he hates his mom for moving her husband and step-kids in all at once, and never giving them the opportunity to know the people or feel how they felt before it was a done deal. He even said, what if they had been jerks to them? There was no going back so close to the wedding. The kids fight each other a lot and generally don't get along. All have resisted bonding with their respective step-parent too. My sister and her husband think the kids hate each other. And especially lately it has come up a lot because the kids don't even mention having step-siblings or step-parents new people. It bothers my sister, and she has come to me several times with her frustrations but never wanting advice. Finally, the other day, she was doing the same over and over and over again because she found out her daughter had made it seem that it was just the three of them still to one of her friend's parents. And the parents seemed shocked there was a step-family involved. And she said she doesn't get why the kids hate each other so much. And it was getting hard to listen to her talk about it, especially when I had asked her to stop on more than one occasion and had cut her off before. So I decided to tell her that the kids don't actually hate each other. They're not mad at each other. They're mad at her and her husband. She was stunned and said they had no reason to be mad at them, that it must be the kids. Well, she found out by asking her kids directly that I was right, and now she's pissed. She said I had no right to interfere and judge her and make it sound like her kids hated her. Our parents told me I should have said nothing like she always wanted, but at some point, the truth had to be brought up, right? Or should I have stayed quiet? Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. You told her the truth. Poor kids. If OP's sister and her husband had spoken to any type of professional counselor, therapist, or child psychologist, psychiatrist, oh, I don't know, hell, even a pediatrician, they would have been told that the way they handled this is absolutely wrong. It was pretty much guaranteed to set these poor kids up for failure. OP, you were not an a-hole at all. Your sister and her husband, though, wow, huge a-holes. Not an a-hole. Not an a-hole. She needed someone to tell her, and you voiced what you observed. She's just mad because she and her husband screwed up by not introducing their new prospective family members to each other organically. I know distance played a role, but they couldn't organize any hangout time prior to the wedding? They could have tried, and ideally that's what people would do, but they never did. Those kids never laid eyes on those new people, nor did they ever say one word to them before they were all living together. Do the kids have to share rooms? That wouldn't help either. Unfortunately, they do. Last story. Am I the a-hole for favoring my daughter's room choice over my stepson's? I, 34 female, married my current husband, 41 male, 6 years ago. I have one daughter from a previous relationship, Annie, who is 16. My husband has a son from his previous marriage, Sean, who is 19. When my husband and I got married, we bought a 4-bedroom house. We took the master bedroom, leaving 3 of the children to decide between a larger one and 2 smaller ones that made up about the same square footage as the large one. We told the kids, Annie was 10, Sean was 13, that they had 2 options of how we could handle the bedrooms. 1, they could each take a small bedroom, and the large bedroom could be turned into a mutual hangout area for them to share. Or 2, one could take the larger bedroom and the other could have both smaller ones as their own. Sean, being a 13-year-old, wanted a large bedroom as his own. He and Annie decided that he'd take the larger one and should take the smaller ones. I did ask her many times if she was sure this is what she wanted, as she's quite shy, and I suspected Sean had more so told her than asked her. But she seemed content enough with it, and it didn't really make much difference to God what in the grand scheme of things. So that's how it was. Now, Annie has one of her rooms set up as her bedroom/hangout area, and the other set up as her closet/makeup area. She loves it and is happy with the setup. Sean, however, has just graduated high school and wants to switch bedrooms with Annie because he wants to turn one of the smaller rooms into a gaming/streaming room. I presume an idea he got from Annie because she makes makeup and fashion/fashion design/sewing videos in her studio, as she calls it. He asked Annie and Annie said no. He then asked me and I said ask Annie. He said he tried, but she was being unreasonable. I told him this is what they decided, and that I wasn't going to force her to change now. He then got my husband involved, and they're both angry with me, saying I'm favoring Annie because she's my own child and treating Sean worse because he's not. Which, I've known him for half of his life and helped raise him our entire marriage. So that stings a little, even if it is true. My husband thinks that since Sean is an adult, he deserves to have the extra space. But honestly, it isn't even extra space. It's just separated, and he likes how Annie did it. I just feel like it would be very unfair to Annie to make her switch. Annie and Sean have had a pretty decent relationship, but Sean has been getting increasingly more passive-aggressive with her since this has come up. Am I the a-hole for not making Annie switch? Edit. Just to clarify, Sean wants to give Annie the big room and take the 2 small rooms as his own, and Annie isn't interested in switching at all. Not the a-hole. Your stepson was kind of greedy and took the big room. Now he is jealous because your daughter made it cool. Sean does not get to whine and get his way now. He doesn't deserve any extra for now being an adult, especially when he's acting like a whiny child. Kinda greedy? He is greedy, and he's also a boy. And I'm guessing he gets it from his father since his daddy sided with him. Not the Opie, but you will be if you don't talk to your husband about backing off. Your daughter shouldn't be punished by having to switch rooms just to please her live-in tormentor. And your husband shouldn't be enabling your stepson's behavior. Otherwise, the horrible behavior towards your daughter will just get worse. Not the a-hole. Sean seems to think it's unfair when he doesn't get what he wants. He's a 19-year-old brat whose a-hole father is enabling him. Now he's harassing his sister? Annie might need a lock for her makeup/clothes room. I'm not sure why a minor with 2 more years to go until she can move out is being expected to give up her space to an adult. Does Sean intend to live at home for the next few years? If so, Sean and his dad should put up a wall in Sean's room. Or it might be time for Sean to move out. He can do whatever he wants in his own apartment after all. You would be the a-hole if you give in to Sean's demands. He is trying to strong-arm you into getting his way, just like he probably strong-armed Annie to take the small rooms when the original offer was put out. He sounds very entitled. Not the a-hole. It's also worrying that an adult man is being passive-aggressive to a teenage girl because he didn't get his way. If this is any indication of how he treats women, he needs to be schooled now. He made his choice a few years ago, and now she said no. He needs to accept that without any manipulative behavior. Yep, I'm in no way suggesting kicking him out, but at 19, they should be discussing his path to independence and what his future looks like, not allowing him to get ever more cozy at home, especially at the expense of their daughter. In addition, I think in accusing Opie of favoring her daughter, the husband has actually revealed his own feelings, which are that he doesn't view daughter as his own and thinks his son should be prioritized. He doesn't view daughter as his own. This is a very good point that I had not really thought of.